I'm 90 years old, and I buried my wife Eleanor 3 winters ago after 54 years of marriage. I thought I understood love while she was alive. I didn't. I only understood it after I stood beside her grave and realized there would be no more ordinary mornings with her in the kitchen. At 90, you don't tell stories to entertain anyone. You tell them because there isn't much time left to leave things unsaid. I am not looking for comfort. I had that once. Her name was Eleanor, and she was my comfort for more than half a century. The house is quiet now. It has a different kind of quiet than before. When she was alive, silence meant she was reading in the next room or folding laundry. Now silence means absence. It has weight. I wake up before the sun most mornings. I sit on the edge of the bed and listen. For years I listened for her breathing, that soft, steady sound. I didn't realize how much it steadied me. I thought it was just part of the background of life. It wasn't background, it was everything. I'm telling you this because I didn't understand what love really was until it was gone. While she was here, I confused love with routine, with responsibility, with staying married and not walking away. I met Eleanor when I was 24. She was 22, working behind the counter at a bakery downtown. I went in for bread. I walked out thinking about her smile. It wasn't flashy. It was patient. She looked at people as if she had time for them. I asked her out the following week. We had coffee at a small diner that doesn't exist anymore. We talked about simple things, her parents, my job at the factory, the kind of house we both imagined one day. Back then, love felt like momentum, like something that carried you forward without much effort. We married within a year, a small ceremony. My hand shook when I put the ring on her finger. I remember thinking, this is the start of everything. And it was. I worked long hours in those early years. The factory paid enough, but never quite enough to feel secure. I told myself I was doing what a husband should do, providing, building something stable. Eleanor stayed home when our first child was born. She had been studying to become a teacher. She put that aside without complaint. I noticed it. I just didn't dwell on it. There were evenings when I would come home exhausted, my shirt smelling of oil and metal. She would be waiting with dinner on the table, the children fed, the house tidy in a way that made my day feel lighter. I would kiss her on the cheek and sit down to eat. She would ask about my day. I would answer in short sentences. Then I would read the newspaper. I thought that was marriage. There were small moments I brushed past without knowing their value. She would stand at the sink, hands in warm water, and tell me about something our daughter said that afternoon. I would nod but not fully listen. She would ask if we could take a drive on Sunday, just the two of us. Sometimes I would agree. Sometimes I would say I needed to catch up on rest. I believed there would always be another Sunday. In my 30s, I received a promotion. It meant more money and more responsibility, more evenings at the office, more weekends thinking about work. Eleanor never complained, not in the way people imagine complaining. She didn't shout, she didn't accuse, she just grew quieter. I didn't notice at first, or maybe I noticed and told myself it was nothing. She still made my coffee the way I liked it, still folded my shirts, still reached for my hand in bed some nights. But there was a softness in her that I took for granted. I remember one evening clearly. The children were asleep. She sat across from me at the kitchen table. "Do you ever miss how we used to talk?" she asked. "We still talk," I said. She gave a small smile. "Not like before." I shrugged. "That's life, Eleanor. It gets busy." She nodded, but her eyes lingered on me, as if waiting for something more. I didn't give it. I wasn't cruel. I wasn't unfaithful. I didn't drink or gamble. I believed that being decent was the same as being loving. It isn't. The years moved quickly. Children grew. Bills were paid. We bought a modest house with a small backyard. Eleanor planted flowers along the fence. She knelt in the dirt with patience I never had. Sometimes I would watch her through the window and feel something close to gratitude. I would think, I'm lucky, but I rarely said it out loud. In my 40s, the children were teenagers. The house was loud again. Arguments over curfews, college applications. Eleanor held everything together. When our son struggled in school, she sat up late with him going over homework. When our daughter had her first heartbreak, it was Eleanor she cried to. I was there, but I was often tired, preoccupied, certain that my role was to keep the roof over their heads. Eleanor once told me, "They need you more than you think." "I'm here every day," I replied. She looked at me gently. "Being here isn't the same as being present." I remember feeling defensive, as if she were accusing me of failing. Now I see she was inviting me in. The slow cost of my misunderstanding wasn't loud. It didn't break us apart. It simply created distance in small layers. Missed conversations. Moments of affection brushed aside because I felt embarrassed or distracted. Assuming she knew how much she meant to me. When we reached our 50s, the children had moved out. The house felt large and strangely quiet. I imagined this would be our second beginning. But we didn't know how to return to each other fully. We had grown around our responsibilities. Without them, we were two older people sitting across from each other at dinner. We loved each other, I don't doubt that. But love, I have learned, is not only a feeling. It is attention. It is time freely given. It is saying the thing that feels vulnerable instead of swallowing it. Eleanor took up reading more. She joined a small book club at the library. She would tell me about the stories she read. I would listen politely, but I rarely asked questions. I regret that. She had a mind that never stopped thinking. I reduced it to background noise. Then she became ill. It started with fatigue, then appointments, then a word we both feared but did not say at first. Cancer. The doctor explained it calmly. Treatment options, risks, timelines. I heard only fragments. We drove home in silence. I kept my eyes on the road. Eleanor looked out the window. When we reached the house, she said quietly, "Well, we've had a good life." I felt anger rise. "Don't talk like that. We'll fight it." She nodded. "Of course." Treatment was hard on her. I watched the strength drain from her body slowly. The woman who had held everything together now needed help to climb the stairs. I stayed by her side. I attended every appointment. I cooked meals when she was too tired. I held her hair back when she was sick. And still, I struggled to say what mattered most. One night she lay in bed, her breathing shallow. She looked at me with eyes that had seen me at 24 and at 87. "Did we do it right?" she asked. "Do what right?" I said. "Love each other." The question stunned me. "Yes," I said quickly. "Of course we did." She studied my face. "I hope you felt loved." I swallowed. I wanted to tell her that she was the reason our children grew up steady, that she was the reason I never felt alone, even in my hardest years, that her presence shaped every good thing in my life. But the words tangled. "You were a wonderful wife," I said instead. She smiled faintly. "That's not what I asked." She died 2 weeks later. I was holding her hand. I felt the exact moment her fingers loosened in mine. The house after her death was not the same house. It was a structure filled with memories that echoed too loudly. I would walk into the kitchen and expect to see her at the sink. I would turn to say something at night and find only darkness. That was when I began to understand. Love was never the paycheck. It was not the roof. It was not the fact that we stayed married. Love was the way she remembered how I took my coffee for 54 years. It was the way she noticed when I was quieter than usual and asked why. It was the way she forgave my distractions and kept reaching for my hand anyway. I thought love was proven by endurance. It is proven by tenderness. What can't be fixed now is simple. I cannot go back and sit longer at that kitchen table. I cannot ask her about the books she read. I cannot answer her final question the way it deserved to be answered. Time cannot be reclaimed. It only moves in one direction. At 90, I understand that success at work meant very little in the end. No one mentions it now. No one asks about my promotions. They ask about Eleanor. They ask what she was like. And I find myself wishing I had told her, plainly and often, that she was my life's greatest gift. If you are listening to me, I won't tell you what to do. I don't believe in giving instructions at this age. I only know what it feels like to sit in a quiet house and realize that the person who made it warm is gone. If there is someone in your life whose presence feels ordinary because it has been there so long, look at them more closely. Ordinary is not small, it is sacred. I assumed there would be more time, more evenings, more chances to say, "I am grateful for you." There weren't. I visit her grave sometimes. I sit on the small bench nearby and talk softly. I tell her things now that I should have said when she could hear them. I tell her that I loved her more deeply than I knew how to express. I tell her that I see now what she was carrying for all of us. I tell her I am sorry for the moments I chose busyness over her. The wind moves through the trees, and I sit there, an old man with too many memories. At 90, I finally understand what love really was. It was not grand gestures. It was daily attention. It was choosing each other in small ways. It was saying the words before it was too late. I don't know how many years I have left. Not many, I suspect. But I know this. When my time comes, I hope I see her again. And if I do, the first thing I will say will not be polite or restrained. It will be simple. Thank you for loving me. I understand now.